Hey, I'm your host, TheDoctorDanko, come on in. You've been missing out, so let's begin. Pumpkin_from is your host here too. When you hear the beat, you know what to do. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Hey. Good evening and welcome to Why Did Not You Warn Me? I'm your host, Matthew, TheDoctorDanko.
And I'm Hillary Crum, the co-host.
As always.
Is that what I call myself?
Yes, that
okay.
is what
it's
you
been a
call
long
yourself.
time.
It's been a while.
I purposefully did not say that.
It's okay. But it has been since December.
I think December. So this is a shorter break than we took last time.
Yes.
I think.
Into the Spider-Verse, whenever that came out, that was the last podcast you and I did.
Yeah, and we saw that on Christmas?
Yeah, that was Christmas Day.
Okay.
And we did the podcast like a week after that, I think.
I was still on Christmas break, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then I did a solo episode between then and now.
What?
Yeah. You don't even listen to our podcast.
I assume if you're by yourself, you're talking about shit I don't care about.
That's typically true. In fact, there's a new episode going to come out about the documentary Batman Bill.
The one about Bill Finger?
Yes.
I heard all about it. It's a pretty interesting story, honestly.
It is, though. Like, it's very little to do with Batman.
Which is my favorite kind of story.
Right, and more just about the true creator of the character of Batman, which the majority of people know is Bob Kane.
Alright, don't spoil it.
I'm not. I'm giving them a little preview.
I was just trying to get you to stop talking
about it. Well, that's
not
going to happen. This is our podcast, and I am a host on this podcast.
Apparently it's yours. You just do it without me. I'm extraneous.
Look, it's not that I want to do it without you. It's that our schedules are so off right now.
Yeah.
That the only times where we can actually do this is ideally on the weekends, which is when I work.
Right. The only time I can do it is on the weekends, whereas you have more flexibility with your time.
Yes, during the week. And, it's only because of the way my schedule is at the moment that we're able to do it today.
All right, well, we're not justifying ourselves to anyone. We do what we want when we want, and you be happy that you have a podcast to listen to. You're welcome.
It just makes me sad, because I like when we do our podcast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know. You don't give a shit. Even though this was your idea.
This is not.
Yes. I wanted to do a podcast, but you were like, we should do one together and all this good stuff.
Because you meant like
our
this
resolution.
Project.
Yeah.
I thought you meant doing it today. I was like, 100% it was not.
No.
I have another cold. I don't know if you can tell by the sound of my voice.
A cold that was like on top of having the flu.
Like I'm barely finished having the flu, and now I have another cold because I work with little adorable mucus machines.
Yes.
So.
It's been rough.
I'm struggles to funk right now. Relevant.
Yes. So what are we going to talk about this episode?
So I know you have stuff you want to talk about. I've read a bunch of books, so I have some stuff to talk about.
Well, do you want to start then?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I read a lot of books. Most of them were not great, actually. I read The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon because I love young adult fiction, and I like to read them to see if they're any good, and if they're good, I like to tell people. Yeah. This one, you can skip. So that was a really long-winded way of saying...
Don't read it.
You're good without that one. Luckily, I read it on an e-reader, so I did not pay any money for it.
I don't know if you brought it up last time, but you sort of made your peace with the whole
it's
digital
an
read.
Unspoken piece. So I have been a strong proponent of physical books for my entire life, and if Matt's laughing because if you could see our apartment, we are surrounded right now.
Yeah.
And that it's like half my collection in this room.
And I think you might have more books than I have toys. It's hard to say.
It's possible.
It's close, if not.
Yeah, so I like me a hard copy of a book, and I've been told over and over again throughout the years, like, get an e-reader. It's so much easier than having to bring books with you. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, read a book.
Well, you like the feel of the book and the smell of the page.
I like how they smell, and I like having them to decorate my home because they're beautiful.
Which I get, like, the actual physical book. Like, there are specific books, even though I don't read a whole bunch, but there are specific books that I love having the physical copy of.
Right.
Because there is something about, I mean, it's the same with, like, DVDs or digital.
If they're important, you want to have them.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, somebody that I worked with over the summer at my school told me that the Carnegie Library has this app called Overdrive where you can get free audiobooks, which at the time was what I was interested in because I had a really long commute.
Yeah.
So I was driving, and I borrowed audiobooks, and it's completely free. The app is called Overdrive. I don't know if I said that. We're not sponsored. It's just an amazing app.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, and, like, you use your library card, and you check out books.
Yeah.
But they also have ebooks. And I don't remember what the first one was that I read, but I use it mostly to read while the kids are napping at school. So I'm not bringing a book with me to school. I just have my phone, and I read my ebook.
Which is also a lot easier because you can, like, just set your phone down if you have to go and do something.
I can shove my phone in my pocket and go, slam my kid back to sleep.
Yeah.
Because, that's what you do.
Right.
Yeah, so what has started happening, what I have found to be the most utilitarian part of this is that there are a lot of books that I want, and instead of going out and buying it, I borrow it from the library, basically, which is not a revolutionary concept, but it kind of is for me. Yeah, so I haven't spent the money, but if I like it, then I add it to my list, and I know that I will purchase it someday.
And the other thing is, you do reread your books.
I do.
It's not you just one and done. Like, with some of them, maybe, but eventually when you go through all of the books that you have, you evaluate whether or not, you would read it again, or if you are done with it, like...
Or even, like... In terms of books I want to purchase, if it was a really good book, I want to have it because someday we're going to have a kid, and, I can say, I really liked this one. It was really beautiful. I would love to share it with you.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to remember because I read so much. Every book that I've read that's good.
Right.
So having it is a little easier.
Yeah.
That was a really long tangent we just went off on.
That's what this is about, having a conversation.
So anyway... Skip the Sun is also a star because it's boring. Nicola Yoon's other book, Everything is kind of boring also. So, whatever. If you want...
Was that the movie that came out not too long ago?
It did, yeah. And The Sun is also a star is actually a movie, too, which I was surprised by because the protagonists are a black girl and a Korean boy. And I was like, well, they're not going to make a movie of that one.
Yeah.
But they did, so good for them.
Yes, good for them. The movie makers.
The movie people. So anyway, the one really good book that I did read recently is called This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel, I'm pretty sure is her name. Some Jewish sounding last name, which I can say because I'm Jewish. It's part of my culture.
Yeah, but is saying that... Well,
I don't know.
If you're saying it in the context of, like, it sounds Jewish as if it's the... Is etymology the term?
Sure.
Like
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I don't
like
know
the origin.
Origin, like,
it sounds
Jewish shouldn't sound offensive.
It's not like
it's like a Jewy name.
Exactly. That's some Jewy sounding name.
That's right. You draw the line, but yeah.
Yeah, Jewish is an adjective. Jewy is an insult.
Exactly. So I think it's okay to say,
reference.
it's a very Jewish sounding name versus...
Like, I'm sort of assuming the woman's Jewish because one of the characters mentioned, like, offhand the sort of casual Jewishness that my family did. So maybe we were writing from reference, or maybe I'm wrong. That's entirely possible, and I'm okay with that. Anyway, This Is How It Always Is. Wow, I forgot how to talk about books for a second. The central characters in this book, it's a family that has 5 boys, which in itself just sounds insane. One of my students is the the baby of a family that has 4 boys. So when I started reading the book, I was thinking about my little one and his family and the just loving chaos that a house like that must feel like. So that, like, it feels very warm and very beautiful and very, like, yeah, you know, he's running around with his pants off and his brother's shirt around his shoulders screaming, I'm Captain Penis. But, you know, like, a day in the life, whatever. Yeah. They're all fed, like.
And really, that's all that matters.
Right. They go to school with clothes on. Like, you know, it happens. They have the 5th boy, and as he is growing up, it becomes apparent that he is interested in a more feminine approach to life. It's like, there's not really a lot of good phrasing for the early part of it because he's not trans yet because he's, you know, like 3 or 4, so he's not thinking that he wants to be a girl. Yeah, he just wants to wear dresses and play princesses. He's gravitated more towards traditional feminine things, which is difficult for his family. Not because of prejudice, but because by this point the parents are really good at raising boys. Right. They're like, princesses? We want to do, okay, sure. Yeah. And the parents are really chill about it at first, because they think that, like, it's just a phase that he's going through, and it's fine, sure, experiment, whatever. Yeah. It starts becoming apparent that this is not going away. It's getting more and more defined as something they are going to have to address. Yeah. Like, put some thought and effort into. I want to just say, so that nobody's nervous, the parents remain incredible throughout this entire journey. And that's what I found really beautiful about this book, is that so many stories about LGBT youth involve prejudice and involve tragedy and involve overcoming adversity. This is not a tragic book. Parts of it were very sad, but that was mostly just because it's hard to grow up thinking you are not in the right body. Yeah. And it was mostly from the point of view of this kid's parents. Sorry.
You're fine.
And they are, I saw the, like, sound spike from that. That's beautiful.
Fine. It's authentic.
It is. We're live.
Yeah.
So these parents are trying to figure out how to give this kid the space that they need to figure out who they are and who they want to be, and if this is really a transgender thing or if this is a transvestite thing, like if it's just something they want to play with, or if this is a permanent decision that they want to make. Right. The parents consult. The mother is a doctor. They find one of her colleagues, and when the child is very young, and they say, "What is your advice? What do? We want to do this right. Yeah. We want to make sure that this kid knows that they are loved." Right. It was really, really sweet. The ending was kind of weird. Like they went to Thailand and helped, like, poor people, and it was. Thailand has a lot of transgendered. Yeah. And it's sort of just accepted in the culture. Like, it's not a big deal. No. I don't know. The ending was a little weird. But all in all, like, a very beautiful book. I cried happy tears a lot, which is always nice. Yeah. Like, yeah, so This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel.
Cool.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure that's her last name.
I'll see if I can find it and put it in the description.
I'm pretty sure it's Frankel. Yeah. So anyway, what have you been up to? Because I never see you anymore.
Is that the only book that
I mean, I've read a lot of books, but I don't want to talk about books forever.
I mean, that's fine. I just wanted to give you the option.
I'm trying to think if there were any other, like, remarkable ones that I read recently.
Just dead air.
Dead air.
That's okay.
We didn't leave. I'm just thinking. It takes a minute.
I'm trying to think of... Since I've dedicated a whole episode to the Batman and Bill story,
right, you can't get into
and since I already told you it off air, I'm not going to bore you with telling you again.
Thank God. Like, I love you, but faking reactions to stories you've already told me is difficult.
But see, that's the difference, is mine would still feel genuine reactions, that everything that I reacted to when I told you the story, because I told somebody else the story.
Well, you're just a better person than me,
aren't you? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just
saying
the story itself means a lot more to me and whatnot, but I'm not relying on your reactions as if that's how I get my approval. I'm just trying to spare you.
I'm talking about our audience perception. That wasn't necessarily about you.
Oh, really?
I feel like people who listen to this are going to think that we hate each other.
We don't? No, I love you very much. I was a little sad that we didn't do an episode around Valentine's Day.
Oh, you want to talk about love?
No. No, I will say
me?
that on Valentine's Day, I really enjoyed our Valentine's Day.
I did too. We did so good this year. Last year Black Panther came out, and that was more important.
We were so, like, confused on when Black Panther was coming out in relationship to Valentine's Day. Like,
we forgot that Valentine's Day is always on the same day every year, because we're like, wait, is the 15th Valentine's Day or Black Panther?
Right.
So that was more important, understandably.
Yeah. But this year, you had the great idea to, like, instead of, I can't remember what the other options were.
Like, I wanted to take you somewhere cool and have, like, a nice dinner.
Yeah, like the typical, like, date
right, like, it's
thing.
Cliched, but it's
either
fun.
A movie or dinner or both or whatever. But you came up with the idea to go to a trampoline park.
It was so fun.
Which is just super awesome. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Just trampolines galore, and you just jump around.
Just jump.
This one, I think it felt very much more geared towards, like, a certain age group.
There were a lot of kids there.
Yes, we were
awkward.
The only two adults that weren't, like, working there.
I think there was also a birthday party when we were there, some kind of party.
But it's not just trampolines. There were, like, obstacle courses. There's, like, this, like, almost like a McDonald's play place type.
But, like,
type area.
Cooler.
Yeah, cooler.
Like neon.
Neon. There are, like, flashing lights and stuff. And then there's a part of it where you get a harness and you get, like, strapped in to this, like, I-beam, and you zip around, like, the whole building. It's okay. You're just dying.
It's fine. I'm here. It's good. I'm alive.
And then there are, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like these giant Q-tips you hold and fight each other and knock each other into
like the ball pit.
Yeah. So it was a really cool place.
We didn't do any of that.
No,
we just did the trampoline.
Because it was like the basic package. I honestly, and I don't want to speak for you, but I didn't know what I'd be able to do.
Right. Yeah.
Just based on, like, my physical limitations.
We did not last at the trampoline park as long as I thought we were going to.
No.
It's hard work.
It is. Like, and you're just literally jumping.
Right. And, like, I used to do that shit for hours when I was a kid. I used to be a gymnast. Like, I did a lot of trampoline
even
stuff.
Like, a few years ago, I felt like I was easier, like, in new things like that, where I've never done them before. Like, almost like Go Ape.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like back then that I could just jump into something and, like, do it and not really feel burnt out.
You're getting up in years.
Yeah. That, too, and it's been, like, I haven't been doing the physical activities that I do at Go Ape because it's been in the off season, so I'm a little out of shape.
I do remember, do you remember Jade from Utah?
Yeah.
Just a friend who was at a job that we had.
Yeah.
Jade, when she turned 26, because she was a little bit older than us, she said that she could feel the difference. She was like, I can't really, like, stay out all night drinking, like, because I get tired.
I could never do that anyway.
Right, but I'm just saying, 26 is, you know.
It's a thing, but, like, you know, I'm hoping that when Go Ape starts again, I'll be able to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be constant.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
But
yeah, the trampoline park
was a dope idea.
Super fun. And it wasn't just, you know, like, sitting at a table staring at each other, which would have been fun, too, because we like each other. But it was something new. It was, you know.
Yeah.
I told my coworkers that we were going to go to the trampoline park for our date, and they started laughing and said, oh, right, because Hillary hasn't had a baby yet. Because apparently you just pee yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Before, well, not before, but during and after pregnancy.
Your body recognizes that
knows,
there's about to be a baby.
Right, yeah, and you can just pee yourself all the time.
Well, I mean, I'd imagine because of the changes the body goes through during
force
pregnancy.
a baby out.
Yeah.
Like, woof.
Everything's like...
One of my friends, this is so funny, I'm not going to say her name because I don't know if she wants this shared publicly, but when she was pregnant, she felt liquid on her legs, so she like rushed to the doctor's office because she thought her water broke and she had just peed herself.
That's funny.
So funny.
That's the kind of thing you have to look forward to.
Great. Knock me out immediately.
Yes. No, but that was an awesome, and I think
really
we did like get our money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
Like I felt like we spent a decent amount of time.
45 minutes.
Yeah, which doesn't sound.
It sounds like
a lot.
Nothing, but like we had a good time. We could not have possibly done any more.
Exactly, and then we got a slushie afterwards.
We did. Then we came home and went to bed early.
Well, we gave each other our gifts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but then we went to bed early.
Because we are elderly.
Yeah. But in terms of things that I've like watched and done.
Oh, were you just stalling so you could think of something?
No.
Okay.
But like I said, I was a little sad that.
Don't mind me.
Cough break. That I didn't have or that we didn't have rather a Valentine's Day episode. But that's okay.
What else
There's
is
always
there to
next
say?
year.
We like each other. It's great.
I know, but I really like you.
Gay. Just kidding. I don't think that. I don't use that as an insult ever.
No. But so I restarted rather, and like caught up to the current episodes of Gotham, which I haven't talked about on the show.
Because you're ashamed a little bit?
Not at all. Ryan Atwood is Jim Gordon. And
Did you talk
would
about
defend,
the OC?
We probably touched on it a little bit.
I watched all 4 seasons of the OC.
Yeah, because by the time Into the Spider-Verse came out, you had finished it.
Long since.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ryan Atwood, the guy, Ben McKenzie, that plays Ryan Atwood, yeah. I just refer to him as Ryan Atwood now.
Because that's his most iconic role.
Yeah, however, he plays Jim Gordon, and, like, granted, there haven't been a lot of Commissioner Gordons. Like, obviously, of all the Batman movies, like, the original Commissioner, like, was in 1 or 2 of the movies. But then it wasn't until, like, the Dark Knight trilogy, where Gary Oldman, many people know of as Sirius Black. And he's been in so many things. That's like to reduce him to our generation of like Harry Potter or Batman.
Like honestly, once you've been in Harry Potter, that's it.
He was on an episode of Friends.
I don't care.
The one where they were like spitting back and forth at each other because that was like true acting. They were in that was
I don't remember the guy's face at all.
I know.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. But, like, yeah, everyone points to Gary Oldman playing Jim Gordon in those movies because, like, those were, like, quote-unquote, the best Batman movies ever.
Which ones?
The one with Christian Bale and Heath Ledger. I know. But
the reason I hate Batman?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is it because you hate Batman or just because those movies are garbage?
All of the above.
Right.
I mean, those movies are the majority of my exposure to the character.
I know,
well, they were before I started dating you.
I know, but because you decided
we don't have to do this right
definitively that you hate Batman based on those movies, it's hard to get you to see anything else.
TBH, I decided I didn't like Batman before I saw those movies.
But based on what?
Descriptions of the character.
Yeah, but
you
it
have
also
Spider-Man,
depends
who's so much more fun. Like, mostly people ask, like, for whatever reason, in my friend group in high school, it was Batman or Spider-Man. Like,
really?
No question.
Huh. There's so many other good characters that they just ignored.
But by that point, those were the only ones that had movies.
I mean, okay, I'd get Superman because he's not a great character.
Superman.
However, the first Superman movie is, like, very touching and, like...
Is that the Christopher Reeve?
Yeah.
Reeve or Reeves?
Reeves.
Yep.
Christopher
You don't know
Reeves.
either.
No, it's Reeves.
Okay, because he was riding a horse and did a jump and got paralyzed.
Correct.
My mother is obsessed with that story.
Yeah.
I took horseback riding lessons, and that was literally all she talked about.
Great.
That'll
make
super.
you want to ride a horse. But that first movie was just amazing. The Henry Cavill stuff now is kind of lackluster.
All anyone wants to talk about is the mustache.
Yes, which, God, why? But
right, different issue.
Yeah, like he's a good actor, but that was just rough.
But yeah, so it got boiled down to Batman or Spider-Man, and even with just the Tobey Maguire movies,
I mean,
it was an easy
back
choice.
then, those Spider-Man movies were like my favorite superhero movies that existed.
I liked them. Like, I liked the second one more than the first one.
Everyone loves the second one. It's like a thing online. Yeah, the second one is like a very well-told story.
Like, I don't think I'll be able to watch them ever again because...
Yeah, now the bar is too high, and we had Tom Holland and Into the Spider-Verse.
Exactly. Like, even Andrew Garfield was better.
Better than Tobey Maguire?
Yeah. Mostly just because he's so pretty.
Okay, but that...
It goes a long way.
Yeah, but that's not conducive to the Peter Parker thing.
It doesn't hurt anything.
Right, I get it. Whatever.
I didn't even know he was British. Like, that just makes him, like, 10,000 times hotter.
I get it. I didn't
Happy
really
Valentine's
enjoy... retroactively. I don't think I had a problem with the first Andrew Garfield one, but, like, I liked the second one, like, the first half of the second one, right up until... Spoilers. Right up until Gwen Stacy dies.
Wasn't it near the end?
No, I'm pretty sure he spends like half the movie
avenging her,
being all depressed about her, or maybe it's just a quick montage of months without her, and I don't know. The movie was very weird, but like
they weren't great movies. Tom Holland is so much better in every way. But
yeah, because I think he fits that character a lot more.
And I'm not watching that movie because he's hot. I'm watching it because he's a good Peter Parker and a good Spider-Man.
Right.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse tops everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, no question, hands down.
Yeah, it raised the bar in a lot of ways.
I love Tom Holland. He fits into what the MCU is doing right now, but Into the Spider-Verse was a masterpiece.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had resolved the Sony Marvel thing earlier, so that as much as I do love Tom Holland,
we could have brought in Miles Morales.
Yeah, for this next wave of stuff, and we'll get there eventually. We
have a girl now.
Yeah. So, finally.
We'll get to that in a second.
31 movies or something like that. I don't know if it was 31, but it's been a lot.
Yeah. It's been a while.
So, back to what I was saying.
Right. Your garbage show.
No, it's not garbage.
That's
what I'm trying to tell you. First of all, you can't comment on it if you just hate the premise off the bat. Because that...
The bat.
Oh, fine. That's on me.
I've seen a couple episodes. I tried it. I tried it as it was originally airing.
But...
Because I should give it a chance. I don't know a lot about Batman. I should give this a try. It was so convoluted. The costuming is so boring.
I get the costuming and a lot, not the cinematography, like the compositions of shots. It's just the fact that, it's Gotham, so everything's dark and gray.
Everything is a Twilight hellscape, which gets old.
But in the beginning, because I started it too, I think, when it was airing as well. I was like, this is awesome.
Because we're the same person.
So, like, I already know almost everything there is to know about Batman. Not in a braggy way, just because I love the character.
What a sad thing to brag about.
Fuck off. This is my show now. So as I was saying...
TheDoctorDanko podcast.
Don't call it that.
I'll call it what I want.
No.
We should spike where the microphone goes. If you're going to pull that shit again.
No, I know where it goes. I'm a sound guy.
Fuck you.
So
I'll leave you to it.
No. So I started watching the show as it was airing as well, and I was like, I know a lot about Batman, but this is a show that's like parallel to the Batman Bruce Wayne story, but it's about Jim Gordon, and I gave it a few chances, but in the beginning it felt like, how many references can we shove into the show? And
since I didn't get any of them,
I know it didn't originally play like to anybody that's not interested in that world.
Every comic book is somebody's first.
Right, I know. But since the fact that they didn't give Bill Finger the credit he deserved until, like, 2 years ago.
Alright, we're not talking about Bill Finger right now.
I'm just saying, and it was 4 years ago.
Great.
But, yeah, DC doesn't know shit.
And
Warner Brothers
so
doesn't either.
Times.
I know, but I'm just so
it
mad
bears
about it.
repeating.
So I was like, well, this is lame, so I shut it off, and then...
Yet another Batman-based disappointment.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then some article was like, this is the final season of Gotham, and I was like, well, shit. So the show's going to end, which is perfect. I hate and love when shows end, but it gives it, like, an amount that seems tangible, whereas, like, Supernatural...
Oh my god,
it's
going to go on forever.
Right, so, like, I'll never watch that show again.
It's not worth it.
It's not.
I got to season 8. Like,
I mean, yeah,
it
you
feels
were in
impressive
it for a
at
lot.
this point.
Jensen
Ackles' face, it can carry me 8
See,
seasons, apparently.
You're just shallow. But,
yeah.
So, and then I heard that in the final episode of Gotham, of the series, there would be Batman in it. And, like,
you were like, yes!
And I was like, fuck yes, this is my time.
Fuck me up.
That's exactly what the Teen Titans show, like, is that a dog?
I think it's multiple dogs.
Okay.
Sorry, we don't live in a vacuum.
The Teens
Titans. The cul-de-sac. It's a little reference if you're paying attention. Gilmore Girls.
The Teen Titans show, their finale for season 1 would be like Robin and Batman fighting off. Just fighting and...
Just right off a cliff, ideally.
Yes. No, but so, same thing. So I was like, well, this is perfect. So I'm going to start watching the show, because it's on Netflix, all current episodes, and then I would just have to catch up
Gotham,
to the new
not Teens Titans.
No, not Teens Titans. And I got to the point where I was like, yes, there's all these references in the show. But then a part of my brain switched off where I wasn't being super critical of it.
I was at work.
Yes, you weren't there to, like, be in my ear saying, this show sucks.
This is garbage.
It's just whiny Batman.
Garbage and you're garbage for watching.
Right. How you and I watch things, basically.
Right. I just whisper in your ear, like, an inch away.
Yeah. And so I just plug up this ear.
Right.
And I don't have to
And
hear
everybody's
you.
happy.
Yeah. But no,
so in love.
There was something that happened where I was able to focus on the show in a different way. And all those hokey references kind of just made it more enjoyable. I stopped looking at them as like, oh, this is all the references we're throwing in, and like just trying to figure out how Gotham City works. And really what brought me to love the show is Ryan Atwood and his portrayal of Jim Gordon, because like I knew he had been on the OC.
He had a lot of practice for this in the last season.
But I hadn't
been
watched the OC until you watched it. And like I would see bits and pieces of him, and then I had popped in enough of the OC to like get who he was as a character on that show.
You get through what you say.
Yeah.
Like,
which actually watching that in context made me like love the skit from SNL a lot more.
So good. Like it's so bad, but it's so good.
But it was seeing Ryan Atwood in the role of Jim Gordon that was just like my brain couldn't handle it. But it was his portrayal of like, so Gotham City is a hellhole. There are crooked cops that are taking bribes from criminals, and like even the mayor is on this level of like, he knows Gotham City is fucked up and there are like mob bosses running shit and they're like paying them off and things like that. But here comes Ryan Atwood with something to prove, and also this straight moral compass of like, I stand for justice. And no matter what, no matter who, at what level, I might, no matter what level of government or whatever of power.
Just looking for chills.
It's there. That anybody, you know, if the mayor is in on it, whatever, if they're breaking the law, I'm going to fucking toss them in a jail cell, read them their rights, and like take the shit all the way.
We need to do a video of this.
And his partner, who is Harvey Bullock, is the guy that, like, he's been on the force for some time and knows how things work, and he just, like, wants to do his desk work, doesn't want to go out in the field, like, when the Waynes get murdered. Basically. But he's, like, not meaner, but he's, like,
Hitchcock.
Rugged. He's like, yeah, I'm lazy, basically, and don't want to do any work, and, like, I have a good thing going here, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, and, like, when they show up, somehow they show up on the scene of the Wayne death, Martha and Thomas Wayne's death, and Bullock is like, I don't want to do this, they're, like, high profile, like, this is only going to bring us trouble, like, Major Crimes is going to want to get in on this and shit like that.
Goddamn vulture.
Let's just give it to them so that we don't have to deal with it. And Ryan Atwood is there on the scene, and he sees Bruce Wayne and basically makes that promise of, like, I'll find the people that murdered your parents.
You're not supposed to promise.
I know. And Harvey Bullock is like, well, fuck this kid. Like, Ryan Atwood, he's going to mess that shit up. Don't.
It's bad. It's bad.
Right. That was fuck, comma, this kid.
Gotcha.
He's going to fuck my shit up. And, like, again, Ryan Atwood is like, justice. And so, like, the whole show is about Jim Gordon learning how Gotham works with, like, these mob boss connections and things like that. So much so is he, like, there are some things he's asked to do, like murder the Penguin. And he, like, takes him down to the
Not
pier.
a real penguin.
No.
It's a bad guy named the Penguin.
Oswald Cobblepot, who
and
walks
that's
like
flaming.
a penguin. Yeah.
Just for anyone out there that's not caught up.
But basically...
My mom never listens to this.
She's not.
No, she never will.
But, like, the mob asks him to murder Oswald Cobblepot, and Ryan Atwood, being all for justice as he is, like, whispers in Cobblepot's ears on the end of the pier, like, don't come back to the city, and fires it, like, next to his head and pushes him into the river. Damn. And then shit just goes off from there. That's, like, season 1. But how they're introducing all these characters, like, they definitely realize, okay, season 5, it's ending. Like, we only have a finite amount of time to introduce all these characters that people know and have wanted to see and things like that.
Right.
And they're doing a pretty decent job. Like, some of them you can tell are, like, shoehorned in there. But overall, like, the fact that Edward Nygma was working for the GCPD and, like, helping out, but then there's something that happens in his personal life that, like, switches his brain into being, like, because he always thinks he's smarter than everyone, so that's where, like, the riddle thing comes in. But then at a certain point, he murders somebody, and his, like, inner monologue is coming out in, like, physically manifesting itself, and he has to deal with, like, okay, I'm this good guy that works for the police department, but now this guy inside me is like, I should kill people and things like that.
That's
and
not cool.
He struggles with it, and then it, like, fully switches his personality to where he doesn't want to be called Edward Nygma anymore and wants to be called the Riddler. Like, Normal, yeah.
Normal,
but, like,
for Gotham.
Basically shedding his old persona and becoming a new persona that, you know, it's very, very interesting, and I do recommend watching the show, but you do have to put aside all the hokiness that starts in the beginning because, like, the plot was originally convoluted. Eventually it, like, not dissipates because they do spend a lot of time with the mob stuff, and
it calms its shit down a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of figures out what it's doing.
I don't think hokey is the right adjective, because, like, I mean, season 1 of Buffy is hokey.
Yeah.
And hokey I love, I can get behind.
Yeah, I know, but, like, hokey to me is, like I said, mediocre, shoving all those references in there in the beginning, like, doing it just because we have the property and people are expecting it.
Just takes it a minute to find its footing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think it was. Because now where they are, like, they introduced the Joker and all this other stuff, but they've done it in a way that makes sense. Because Bruce Wayne is still, like, growing up as a teenager, and his story is sort of parallel to Jim's story. But you can see that, like, even if Bruce Wayne and these villains don't interact now, it's building to this, like, ongoing fight for, like, Gotham City, which is a lot of, like, the villains and the plot of Gotham is like there's always a villain that wants to like control the city, which is a very typical like villain
comic
thing
book
to do.
bad guy.
But Gotham City is like a character.
Is its own separate hell beast.
It's like they make reference to it all the time about it being dark all the time and like raining and shit and stuff like that. And it's true. It's like its own little world, but Gotham becomes this whole like he who controls Gotham controls the world, and like they don't venture outside of Gotham. Like there's a whole season where all the bridges have been blown and it's just contained on Gotham Island. It's a crazy good show, and it's crazy where it came from because I didn't have any patience for it in the beginning. And I don't think you'll ever like it, but that's fine.
And I mean, I was trying to think about why I gave up on it, because I watched like 4 or 5 episodes maybe. Yeah. But I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might have also been airing at that time.
Probably.
Which was much more my speed.
Yeah. And again, I've only watched a few episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And like I kind of jumped off of that a long time ago because it got kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, if I'm really really into a show, then I can handle convoluted. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just got busy.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing is there's been so much to watch over these last. I mean, since the streaming thing has become more.
And I mean, I wasn't living at home when this came out, so like I would go over to my mom's house to do laundry, and I could use her on demand to watch, the couple of shows that I could watch while my laundry was going.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking watch Gotham.
Yeah, there are a lot of shows where like I'd want to watch live, but we only have basic cable. But yeah, unless it's on Netflix where I can stream it and binge it.
I can watch it when I want to watch it.
Yeah. Because like the only shows in the most recent years that weren't on streaming that I've actually finished is like Mad Men. I was able to get through all of that. Not get through because it was difficult, but that was like one of those AMC shows where it wasn't on streaming services.
Okay.
And I ended up watching like the entirety of it, which like Breaking Bad I didn't do that with, but that's like another show that people like really fell in love with on television and things.
I watched Suits live for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah, like the USA shows back when my parents had cable. Because they got to a point where they cut their cable and now just have streaming services.
Right.
Yeah, the USA shows were always awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, the AMC had the monopoly on like good shows to watch, and then like, I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is still going, and
yeah, that's the only thing we watch live right now. I mean, you were sort of watching Gotham, but
shit, I still have an episode of that because I didn't watch it this week.
That's right, because you chose to talk to me instead.
I did.
Oh,
that's kind of cool. Yeah, no, because I do want to watch the final episode live, which is why I caught up to it. But yeah, so I watched all of Gotham, and I don't think, like, other than that documentary, I think I'm rewatching Boy Meets World to see how it stacks up now.
You said it's pretty good.
It is, like...
Sometimes those 90s shows, like, they get iffy.
I mean, they do make some of the typical, like, sexist jokes occasionally.
We have Topanga there.
Topanga does sort of call them out on it. And they do make the marriage jokes, but it's typically always immediately followed with, like, they know that they're joking.
Because aren't those parents, like... Aren't they pretty good? Like, they're pretty into each other.
Yeah. Okay. Like, there's episodes where, it's like an anniversary or Valentine's Day or something.
Somebody forgets.
No, he buys her a trash compactor because she's wanted a trash compactor.
Right, but it's not a romantic gift.
Yeah, there's episodes like that. But
my mom bought my dad a door for one of their anniversaries.
Yeah.
And my dad liked to bring that up post-divorce, window into my tragic life. And I mentioned it
to... it's a door.
Fuck you. I mentioned it to my mom, and she was like, we wanted a new front door.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think my parents have done that
in the later
years. I mean, first of all, if I've said I've wanted it,
there's no
reason why you shouldn't get it for me for something like Valentine's. Like,
right.
It doesn't
like
have to be
$1,000 DeLorean. You've said you wanted it.
Wow. That was good though.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like if I say I want something, like,
right,
and it's reasonably priced, Yeah, why not? It doesn't matter what the occasion is.
Right.
Yeah, but there was like an episode where the father went out to do, or the mom got a haircut, and it was like $130 or something ridiculous like that.
He didn't notice.
He didn't notice, and then like when she brought it up or something, he freaked out about it.
Why'd you pay that much?
Yeah. Kind of. Mm-hmm. And then he went out to play poker with his friends and lost $300. Oh, and then they had a conversation about like spending money on things and like not talking with the other person or something like that.
Right.
But then like they joke about it and then they hug each other and like.
And it's okay.
It's stupid that you did it, but I love you anyway.
But it's not like you suck and I'm in prison forever.
They do occasionally make like the doghouse joke or something like that, but they do resolve it pretty quickly. Like,
you know which couple I always really liked on a show like that? I love Red and Kitty Foreman.
Yeah, they're into each other.
They do the sexist stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But they love each other so much. Like, Red hates everyone, and all he wants to do is hang out with Kitty.
Right.
It's so cute.
Yeah, they are a pretty good couple. Yeah. I was trying to think of, other parents on TV shows.
Uncle Jesse and Aunt Becky. Well.
Timely. They were
Aunt
always
Becky's
super
canceled.
into each other. It's a shame Danny never really got a wife.
Yeah, he had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Vicky?
That sounds right.
I watched a lot of Full House.
Yeah, so did I.
Because it was on before Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. I think
Richard and Emily Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
They have
they do have a whole, like, plot.
Right, but for the most part, they figure it out.
Yeah.
They're not, like, constantly sniping at each other.
No. Yeah, they're super into each other. I think, like, on Family Matters, which... You didn't watch probably.
No, I didn't.
They were pretty. I don't remember their names, but Michael Winslow's the dad because he's Reginald Valjean or whatever is.
Reginald Val Johnson.
Yeah, that sounds right.
From Die Hard.
Yeah.
Which we only know because I only know because of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I've seen Die Hard.
I've seen the Die Hard for kids.
Yes.
Despite your efforts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to watch Die Hard and Home Alone. And I could only get you to watch
I haven't seen Die Hard despite your efforts.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you had seen Die Hard despite your efforts.
Oh, yeah. I was vehemently opposed to seeing Die Hard.
Somebody tied you down.
I did watch it in film school, but...
Wow, what a masterpiece.
It is, actually.
Okay, we don't have to do
I know.
this right now.
You don't... the second one. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, Boy Meets World, it's exactly what it was designed for, the whole, like...
Right.
I'm trying to grow up and learn how the world works and things like that, and he learns a lesson every episode.
Right.
But
there should be a book of lessons from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, honestly. And I watch Girl Meets World, too, because...
Because you're a feminist?
Yeah, no. It was part of this nostalgia of the fact that Boy Meets World, I grew up watching that.
Yeah.
But also because... they just flipped the script and had Corey and Topanga be the parents.
Right.
So I gave it a shot.
I remember the first year we were at Bush, you were watching that.
Yeah.
Because that was around the same time that Fuller House started. Sorry.
Yeah. And that show, like, it's very much its own thing. But
Girl Meets World.
Yeah, sorry.
Fuller House is
rough. It's very much its own thing, but they do have a sense of, like, where this originated from, because I do believe Michael Jacobs and I can't think of the other person's name. It might be Amy something.
Oh, Topanga?
No.
Oh, the writers.
The writers. The creators of Boy Meets World.
I don't know any
They've created Girl Meets World.
Okay.
So they're still on it. I know Michael Jacobs because his name comes up on the end of every episode.
Amy Sherman Palladino.
Yeah, exactly. But there are, like... I don't know how much you watch Boy Meets World.
Not much. Scattered episodes.
Yeah. Adam Scott shows up.
Oh, yeah, you said... Yeah. I've seen a picture of him as a bully.
He actually shows up twice because, yes, he does show up as a bully, but he had a short spot in one of the last episodes I watched where he's in a band and, like, has Corey and Sean watch their guitars and they go off to the bathroom or something and then girls come up and think that they're in a band. But he has this, like, very 90s haircut
I've
bob.
seen pictures of the haircut.
It's very strange. But later on, he comes in and replaces the bully Harley Kiner. the guy that's like the Fonz with the leather jacket and has the two lackeys, one played by Ethan Suplee, which is the brother on My Name is Earl, and see, you know his face. You've seen it before.
Don't tell me what I know.
No, I know you know his face.
I know.
But I did say his name earlier, referencing something else, and you just gave me this look of disinterest.
The look that's on my face right now?
No.
This is
an audio medium, so I don't know what your face looks like.
Right, because we're in separate rooms.
Right. We're Skyping this.
So we still have Captain Marvel to talk about.
That's fine. I'm almost done.
Oh my god.
I wasn't finished.
Okay, fine.
And also, it's... Oh, shit.
What are we?
50 minutes.
Christ.
Wow, it didn't even feel like that.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but like in the first episode of Girl Meets World, they have like a Feeny poster in the subway of like an educational thing of like go to school and follow your dreams and shit like that.
You should have seen the finger guns.
But then they have Harley Kiner as the school janitor, which is
Comeuppance.
shitty for him, but it's kind of nice because it's like a little bit of a resolution.
Karmic circle.
Yeah. And they do have they do have Sean come in at some point, and they have like Eric come in too, but they have like they have the Corey persona, and then they have her best friend who is like a lot like Sean, kind of gets into trouble and is quippy and things like that. I think Jonathan Turner, the teacher. That was also like
was Chandler there? Yes, he was.
It's Phoebe.
Whatever.
It's fine. I think he teaches at the school. Or no, Corey teaches at the school. It's everything. It's kind of like in a way, what the Harry Potter resolution kind of should have been, where instead of Harry becoming an Auror, should have become a teacher at the school and things like that. Yeah, Corey becomes a teacher at the school that he's teaching his daughter and her friend and all the other characters.
He doesn't just teach them?
No. And Topanga has I believe she has a coffee shop.
Topanga was going to be like some high-powered something.
I might be reading that. I do know she was on a path to a career
to greatness.
There was an episode of Corey freaking out that either she was gonna go off and make something of herself and leave him behind, or
she was gonna stay and he was gonna ruin her life.
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't see it. I just saw where that was going.
I'll let you know when I finish this series.
Great.
But yeah,
stay tuned.
That's been what I've been watching. We've been watching Santa Clarita again, preparing for the newest season.
We watched season 3 of Queer Eye.
We did watch the newest
Pretty
season.
much all there is to say is that it's beautiful and will heal everything that's ever been wrong with your life. You need it. You need it in your life. Whatever you think is wrong with the show, it's not. It's perfect. It's flawless. It's going to cure our fractured society if enough people watch it. So do yourself a favor and watch Queer Eye. Moving on.
Yeah, I can't really build it up anymore after that.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
So, you get it.
Yeah. We'll talk about Captain Marvel a little bit, especially because
there's not a whole lot to say.
I mean, the problem is I would love to see it again. You have no interest in it again, and that's fine. But, yeah, there's... So everybody's been talking about this movie. It's been it just came out not too long ago.
And it already had a tanked score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, a month
suck.
or so before the movie had actually come out, because there's the user reviews where... So Brie Larson, we'll touch on this really quickly.
Right.
Brie Larson was doing an interview and was basically so I've kind of noticed that anytime I do panels or there's critics in the audience and asking me questions, it's been majority is fine. I don't know how to whatever.
Mostly.
Sure.
Simple.
Well, that's not the way I do things. Why did not you warn me?
Exactly.
The majority of people in the audience were white men, and Brie Larson's opinion on that was, and she even went so far as to I want to say it was Oxford or something that did a study on the amount of, like, the percentage of white men that would go to these things or whatever.
Right.
And found out, yes, the majority is white men. Straight white men, I think, but
Probably.
Just white men in general was the biggest issue. And she's like, I don't really need for them to tell me, you know, what they didn't get or like about A Wrinkle in Time, because, you know, it's not really a movie made for them. So I would just, and I'm putting it in my own words, but it was the context that it was in. I would just like, you know, more diversity in my panels. And that's a fair point.
Did not go over well.
Did not go well.
Because straight white, I'm going to add straight because I'm just assuming.
It does apply because all the comments I was seeing, like, it got me riled up.
Straight white men are the most fucking sensitive demographic because they have everything. So anytime anything gets a little bit like maybe it's not for them, oh my god,
what
the world
turned
ends.
it into was that Brie Larson is sexist and racist against white men.
Straight white men.
Because she said she didn't want them seeing her movie.
Which is not what happened.
Which is not even close to what she said.
But if she did, fucking right. They shouldn't watch it.
I mean,
they should stay home and not talk to anyone.
If you had read all these comments, like, I know you don't need to, but if you had read even, like, 5, that's too high, 1% of them,
right.
you would be like, yes, don't fucking see this movie.
It's not for you. She's right. Absolutely
no movies
not.
are for you. But, like,
straight white men are canceled.
We're just going off on, like, I don't want to see this movie. This is the worst thing Marvel has ever done. Like, Brie Larson's a terrible person for all these things, and this isn't the
Pandering
first time.
To the SJWs.
And, like, what you're saying is not only are you not going to see the movie because you think Brie Larson doesn't want you to see the movie, it's that you have felt so privileged in your life that the minute there has been one movie in the Marvel Universe that is dedicated to strong and powerful women, that bothers you so much.
Which, like, also, let me just say, Black Panther wasn't for you either. This is not the first one.
True. And there were some that said, like, in the comments, because this is where they were all brought out, was like, they're following the feminist agenda just like Black Panther was following the African American agenda or something like that.
Do it.
Making it all about race or all about gender and women empowerment. And it's like, but
that's not realistic in my fictional world.
Why is your argument that these things aren't good things? Like, they said it about one of the Star Wars movies. It might have been Rogue One, but also The Last Jedi. Rogue One, it was about the main character who was a woman bringing down the Death Star.
They're just pushing the feminist agenda.
Yeah, and like... and this is why it's hard for me, because I am a straight white man.
What? No,
I know. It's shocking. And I know that I have...
You seem so reasonable.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. No, but I don't have any authority to speak on this subject, and I'm not saying that I am like the expert on this sort of thing. I've read everything that's out there on this particular incident because it made me go, what?
As it would any reasonable person.
And it just blows my mind that this is the argument that men want to like boycott Marvel as a whole franchise from this point forward.
Great. Stan Lee doesn't want you there anyway.
Yeah, there were comments about like Stan Lee would be rolling over in his grave. First of all, it's a little too soon for that.
Yeah,
Second of all, he was all about inclusion.
I don't know which ones he wrote and which ones he didn't.
No,
he was,
I have zero.
He was one of the heads of Marvel. Yeah. Like, shit didn't happen without his approval.
I mean, he had Stan's Soapbox, which was all about like those little blurbs in comic books about like, you know, these comic books are like, first of all, there's a comic book forever. Everyone's comic book is their first comic book.
Right.
Meaning that like we don't want to alienate people that are just picking it up for the first time because these are for everyone to enjoy.
Also, anyone can wear the mask.
Yes.
There's not like any qualifiers on that. Anyone.
And honestly, all of the Marvel movies, like, yes, they have been about like straight white men getting superpowers or whatever, fighting
those
bad
are just
guys.
the ones that have been made.
Those have been the ones that have been made. But even those movies are all about like unity and like community and, you know, being a good person and spreading this message of inclusion. Like, I mean, I didn't watch the newest Endgame trailer, but there's like a 5-second scene with Thor and Captain Marvel where like Captain Marvel shows up and Thor like calls his hammer and it whizzes past her face, but she doesn't flinch at all, and that's where he's like, I like this one. And like Black Widow was the only other female character, because even Nakia and Okoye aren't
They're not Avengers,
faces of like a Black Panther movie. They have they have a huge role in those movies, but still you're looking at Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa, as the main character of that movie. So the fact that Brie Larson is the main character and like it's supposedly her movie, which
we'll get to that in a second.
Based on the fact that you're so
territorial?
I was gonna say butthurt, but
I like that better. Go on. Butthurt. I hate that word, but it works here.
Exactly.
We could talk about that. Whiny little fuckboys.
It just
get over it. Comic books are like the genre, the superhero genre. From my understanding, everything I've read about it, like it's creating the world that you want to live in.
Right.
Like augmenting reality so that people that don't have power have it. And like, does that sound familiar? Giving power to people that don't have it?
Right. And like I get that people like movies to be about like escapism and things like that. And there's like a few genres where that applies, but even within those genres, there are like sci-fi movies or even action movies that do touch on like real world shit.
Right.
And it doesn't make the movies less enjoyable to focus on that or shed some light on that. It makes it more not tangible, but like it makes it easier for the general audience
to
latch onto and, you know, over time process that maybe this is how the world should work.
Those are the things that go down as classics.
Right.
The things that reflect society back to itself.
Yeah.
Like Black Panther, I keep coming back to it because it was just such an incredible movie. At face value, it was a quality superhero movie. It was a really good superhero movie.
And
it fit the genre.
It fit Marvel's thing. Yeah.
Not even deeply beneath the surface. Like, there was a much more intense narrative there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the movie starts in, like, Oakland.
Yeah. And it,
At a basketball
I get chills
court.
every time I think about that movie. So that was, it was incredible. I forgot what my point was. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
That it wasn't the face value, like, it delivered more...
So if you watch it at face value, you get that escapism thing. If that's what you so desperately want to escape from your shitty life, fine, great, whatever. But what's also there is the deeper meaning.
Yeah.
So there can be both. You can escape, and you can also get something more out of it. Yeah, that's like, good art.
Right.
It takes you out of yourself and then pulls you back in.
Yeah. And, especially if you walk away from the movie with something.
We're still talking about that movie a year later. Like, it's a good, powerful movie. Captain Marvel.
Okay, yeah. Let's actually get into a little, like, we don't have to go on forever about it.
Right. So for all that, because I was, like, deeply passionate about, obviously, I'm a feminist. I don't know if that's clear. So I really wanted, So I really wanted this movie to be really good, and honestly, I was disappointed.
Yes, you were disappointed, like, not right off the bat, but it was hard for you to get into.
The dialogue was not great, I didn't think. I thought a lot of it was clunky.
I do think in some places it was, but again, it goes back to, like, there were some hokey dialogue moments.
And I can handle hokey.
I know, but maybe in the way I'm defining it, but I was like, that's fine. I'm invested. Like, I'll allow whatever they do. And that might be me being a blind audience member because I like...
just generous.
No, yeah, because I like a lot more shit than the average person.
Right.
Because I'm willing to forgive a lot more.
Right.
And, like, typically while I'm watching the movie, upon reflection, I'm able to be a little more critical, but if I'm, like, even 2% invested in the movie, like, this is the greatest thing. I've said it before, like, this fucking movie's in color. This is amazing.
And, like, honestly, for someone who went to school for film, that's pretty remarkable that you're still able to love it so fiercely.
Even knowing the ins and outs.
It's very cool. You don't meet a lot of film majors who aren't assholes about it.
Yeah.
And you're not, and that's beautiful.
I try not to be, because the movie was meant to be enjoyed, like, on some levels, so I like going in and enjoying it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of problems with Captain Marvel. A lot of it, I didn't find Brie Larson particularly engaging, but I think that might have been the writing, because the way they chose to tell the story, for the majority of it, she didn't know who she was. So how can you be an empowered female heroine if you don't know that you are?
Yeah.
So, like, obviously she was badass and she was very cool, but the presence that Gal Gadot had as Wonder Woman was incredible. I didn't love Wonder Woman, but I was engaged. I wanted to hear I wanted her to keep talking forever, because she had so much charisma
and presence. Like, she did, like, any scene that she was in, she was that
She was
scene.
the focal point.
Yeah.
The problem, the other problem was that they packed so many dudes into Captain Marvel. I'm like, this is supposed to be the girl superhero movie, and I get you hedging your bets, but Brie Larson already fucked your male fan base out of wanting to watch this.
Well, see, I was conflicted. I didn't know exactly what that was trying to achieve. Like, on one hand, I thought the reason that almost everyone else in the movie is a dude is because of how powerful Captain Marvel is. That she should stand out amongst everyone.
The problem was she didn't.
In your opinion, she did not. I do, not throughout the entire movie. I do think there were a lot of moments, like you said, because we had talked about this, because she doesn't know who she is, and, like, kind of stays that way throughout.
Until, like, the last, like, 20 minutes.
Maybe less.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the sense of, like, I know who I am as the Kree, because that's who I've been, like,
right. She didn't even have a
to.
lot of ownership of that persona.
Even knowing, like, at that point where she, like, finds out that her memories have been tampered with, or, like, starts to have this whole, like, I don't know who I am. She never goes back and is like, this is all I've known, and this is the only way I know how to function in this society. But now you're telling me, or now, what the fuck? Now I have this whole other identity that I have zero clue as to who I am or where I come from. But she's never operating as she was as a Kree, trying to learn her new identity.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense at all. I know.
Kind of.
Because if she only had the one personality, when she finds out that that's not who she really is, she would still operate as that first personality, trying to track down her real personality.
Yeah, I mean, and even her Kree personality. She was just kind of like an average Kree fighter.
Yeah, they did present her with Jude Law being the villain of the
Spoilers,
piece.
I guess.
Spoilers, yeah. I mean, he's basically just a dick throughout all the movie, really, but he's not really a villain.
I was kind of disappointed the second he came in, because he was first presented as her mentor. I'm like...
Well, that's the other thing. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, but, like, the trailers, they did this thing where, like, the Skrull, that's how you pronounce it, I believe. Sure. And this is in the comic books. They're like shapeshifters that can take on the role of anybody, human beings, and it's like the trailers present it like they're invading Earth, and Captain Marvel has to defeat them. So they're presented as the villains. And in the beginning of the movie, Brie Larson's character is like sparring with Jude Law's character, and they're like on the same side. They're soldiers of some kind,
right?
That are going to Earth to fight the Skrull. And then there's like a switch somewhere in the movie where we realize the Skrull aren't actually bad guys. They've just lost their home and want to find a new home.
Right.
We're not actually invading Earth. We're kind of just hiding here.
And then we find out that it's actually the Kree that are...
Yeah, or that are the bad guys that are, like, trying to basically commit genocide on
right,
the
so like, there's this whole conflict that we're not really a part of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was difficult to latch on to.
The stakes aren't... Like,
they're not personal.
Yeah, whereas, like, the Battle of New York and Avengers...
Yeah.
It's, like... The
this
stakes
is
are
our
as
world.
high as,
like,
yeah.
I mean, even fucking Black Panther. Like, I don't know. That conflict was much more human. It wasn't.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal. Like
it wasn't personal for us.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal for us. It was probably personal for a lot of African Americans and just people that exist in those cultures.
It's a conflict of identity.
Yes.
Who do you want to be?
Exactly.
And this was two bodies of, like, two separate people that we don't really have any attachment to.
Whereas even, like, where Black Panther, that wasn't for us or for us to identify with. We identified with the human part of it.
It was easy to latch on to.
Yeah. Whereas in Captain Marvel, the stakes aren't super high. We're rooting for the good guy because that's just what we always do.
You got to be keeping the separate sides straight, remembering which not English name is which party, and, like, that was all very confusing.
And then you have, like the other thing that the movie does more than the female empowerment thing is that it relies a lot on the 90s setting that it's in.
Which is fun. They did that really well.
It was super fun.
She crash lands into a blockbuster. We're like, we know exactly when we are.
But the other thing, because it's in the 90s, you can play on a lot of knowledge that we already have being this far into the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So you can show Ronan, and we know who that character is because he was the main villain in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And his whole, like, storyline that will unfold as time goes on, and the Tesseract thing. That being, like
circling that, like,
exactly.
retconning a lot of that stuff.
Well,
I mean, Nick Fury's eye.
Yes, which a lot of people are pissed about.
Okay,
but that's the other thing, is that they bring Sam Jackson in, a younger Sam Jackson. So
CGI'd Sam Jackson.
It didn't hurt the movie.
Coulson hurt more than...
I really only think it was that one shot where he looked, like, super and, like, pale and whatnot. But yeah, so you can play on the whole, like, oh, this is him before, like, Iron Man even, and all this other shit. But say what you were going to say.
Thanks. So
as this being a woman's movie...
Once you have Nick Fury as a side character, your hero stands no chance. Because this is a character that not only do we know really well, we really like. Yeah. And we want to know who he was before all of that. Like, who was Nick Fury before he was this, like, poised, confident, kick-ass character that we knew. So that's fascinating. So suddenly, Carol Danvers, or whoever the fuck she is for the majority of the movie, is not nearly as interesting. Right. Which is a shame. Yeah. Like, I think they did her a huge disservice.
I think so too, so the other thing I'm struggling with is because we've mentioned, they took this long to come out with this movie.
Right.
I think it would have been kind of cool, somewhere in, like, phase 2, to have done this movie with similar things, like setting it in the 90s and all that.
Yeah, it would have been great.
So that we know she's, like, in the background fighting in these other galaxies and whatnot, because she's, like, a cosmic protector.
Right.
And, like, that's the whole reason that she creates the pager for Nick Fury is, like, call me, beat me if you want to reach me, basically.
Sure.
But,
some might say.
Yeah. And which inspires Nick Fury to come up with the Protector Initiative.
That was so cool.
We'll touch on that a little bit. But
this is going to be like a 4-hour podcast. I'm
trying to stop, but I can't. I found so much more I wanted to say about it. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, doing it somewhere in phase 2 so that it wasn't released in the same year that Endgame, which is in a lot of ways the end of the Marvel phases. Like, it's starting a new wave of heroes. a couple maybe, but definitely somebody important is going to die and be done.
I think it would have been very cool if they did Infinity War and then just waited a year and didn't have any Marvel movies and then gave us Endgame.
Right.
That would have been
what I'm
really
saying.
Cool.
Because now...
I said it quicker.
Yeah, but you're missing all the nuances of the... No, but
4
because
hours.
What it's doing is it feels like it's rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when we saw Black Panther, because of how awesome the movie was and how much we enjoyed it, it felt like Infinity War, like what could they even do that would surprise me? And
nothing did.
I know your feelings on Infinity War. I rewatched it. I liked it a little bit more the second time, maybe because I was trying not to think about, your reactions to the movie.
There's also a lot of external stressors seeing that movie in the theater.
True, very true.
Which affects viewing.
Yeah, so much. So it does feel like they're rushing Captain Marvel in because she's supposed to be the saving grace for Endgame. Because
we saw her call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Exactly, at the end. So like this cosmic protector that hasn't been around for this long, even in the spoilers, the end credit scene of Infinity War of Captain Marvel was the standing Avengers left waiting and seeing the pager, like still calling out, and then just shut off and die, and then she shows up.
Right. And they're like, what is this? What's happening?
Exactly. So like it does feel sort of rushed, and it does do her a disservice, kind of shoehorning her in there just before she's not going to be useful anymore.
Right.
Because once you defeat Thanos, this dude that wipes half of existence out of reality, once she fucks with time or whatever happens and defeats him,
with her photon arm,
she's going to fuck off back, and we're not going to need her again because there's not another Thanos out there that we're aware of.
Right.
Like, I don't know the comic books as well, so maybe there is, but Thanos has always been at the top of the food chain, as it were. So it's kind of shitty that they did that.
I think the saving grace of this movie was that it was not as bad as it could have been, which means
yes, a
lot of people liked it,
which
has made me feel weird about my feminism. We're not going to do this right now, but it's gotten a lot of positive feedback from women who have seen it, which is really all I listen to at this point. So there's room to do this again, to give her sequels or to give other female superheroes their own solo movies. It was received well enough that that Marvel isn't going to feel like they have to slam the door.
Yeah, which would have really sucked.
That would have been really lame.
And like that's the thing, is even if it was shitty like across the board and nobody liked it, wouldn't mean that they shouldn't do it again.
Right.
Like,
try and do it better.
I get from the business prospect why you wouldn't want to make the same mistakes and lose money again, but that's not the reason the movie did poorly if it did poorly.
Right.
Which
it didn't do.
Right. making the movie solely based on a female character as like she's not. I'm glad they didn't do a love story of any kind.
I would have flung myself
unless
off the bridge.
It had been with her friend from the Air Force.
I was hoping.
Yeah.
I was hoping. Her female friend from the Air Force.
Her female friend from the Air Force, yeah.
I was really hoping they were going to make out.
But, like...
Girls forever, men are canceled.
I mean, kind of, yeah. Like, yeah, so when I read all that shit about the Brie Larson thing, I made a post that was it was like the internet... not going to see Captain Marvel because Brie Larson's racist and sexist, and then I posted a gif of like my reaction, and it was Leslie Knope saying men's rights are nothing and you're ridiculous and men's rights are nothing. You're
stupid and men's rights is nothing.
Yeah. And like men really got butthurt about that too.
Men get really upset when you insinuate that the world doesn't revolve around them.
They called me a cuck, which was interesting for the first time ever being called that.
How'd that feel?
I felt like I was in an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Surprising. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
And then like one of the other things was about people being delusional and like, and I was just again so frustrated with it.
Your feminist girlfriend has you by the balls, basically.
Basically, and I'm like,
sure,
fine.
I guess so.
It's just, and the whole like the social justice warrior label being negative. What you're fighting against is justice.
Calling yourself an anti-social justice warrior.
Yeah.
Some Tumblr post was like, do you feel like a Batman villain yet?
Right.
Yeah. You're anti-justice.
Exactly my point. That's why I'm so mad about it. I get people do it sometimes.
Anytime the word justice is used, you're going to be like all up in arms. Like, yeah, justice. What?
I think, honestly, like one of our first interactions at the picnic tables at Busch Gardens, I was like, but Batman is for justice. How could you be against that? I vaguely remember that being a thing. But I know people use social justice arguments sometimes in a negative light, or like do it to the point of like hate speech in a way, or like just like pushing more negative than positive. But at the basis, it's just about like equality and like
be nice.
Justice. Yeah, just be nice. Be kind.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
It's so fucking
Didn't
simple.
think I had to write that one down for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That seems like a good place to end.
It is. I'm proud of where
4 hours later. Good. This has been the TheDoctorDanko podcast. Just kidding. Don't call it that.
And so we end this episode where I'm staring at a computer typing the Protector Initiative. And I look at a picture of Carol Danvers and on her Air Force pilot.
Carol the Avenger Danvers.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's a good name.
We didn't talk about the cat.
Oh, yeah. The star of the show.
The cat was incredible.
Goose. Yeah.
Goose.
Yeah.
Goose the cat.
Goose the cat.
Anyway.
There's apparently, like, we're going to quit after this. There's apparently, like, a whole, I want to say it was in Korea, of movement of, like, people doing photo shoots for their cat. Like, they are the goose cat star, so they would do, like, the posters.
I'm in love
with
that.
Yeah, it was very cool.
I have to find those.
Yeah, I'll show them to you.
Thank you.
But
all right.
Yeah.
It's been real.
It's been fun.
It hasn't been real fun. No, I'm kidding. It has. It's always fun to podcast with you.
Yeah. This doesn't count as a Lupin. I didn't catch it in beforehand.
You're gonna drop that in there?
Yeah.
Great.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
I have been your host, Matthew, TheDoctorDanko.
He sure has. Good night. I'm Hillary Crum, the co-host.
Good night. Once the show ends, please don't shed those tears. We'll come back again, so have no fear. Oh, we told you that it just might end up this way. What's the show called again? You cannot be saying, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me?